The players are ready in the feature match area, so let's go ahead and head down there and don't make them wait any longer. We're ready to go. All right, so just want to shout out our champ, Jesse Lou, from yesterday. My man took it down with Golgari Yawgmoth. He's in chat. Make sure to shout him out if you're talking to him.
Was graciously allowed someone else to win today by not showing up.
Well, he needed some sleep after that long day. The best of 5 finals was all 5 games, and it was long. All right, well, we're underway here. Franken Folks on your right with Mono White Humans. Nicholas Park on your left with that Azorius Hammer deck. We got 1 drop from both players. We have Dauntless Bodyguard versus Skrell. With the White Winnie player on the play, here comes Thalia, Guardian of Thraben. This might disrupt a little bit, but that Mox Amber coming down means that maybe we can punch through it a little bit.
Yeah, and Nicholas Parker very wisely playing the Mox Amber, even though he had nothing to use the mana on that turn, wants to get it down before the Thalia can hit, so you can play it for free instead of having to spend a mana on it.
Yeah, so this Azorius Hammer deck is yet another deck that is utilizing the new fast lands. I know they're reprints, but we just got, Seachrome Coast and things like that in this format that we didn't have before, and we're making good use of it. Here comes the Michigo's Reign of Truth. That's going to come down. That's going to buff the Skrell plus 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's going to be a 5/5, and it's going to crunch on in.
Okay, so very explosive start here from Nicholas Parker. Trying to take the initiative even though he was on the draw against one of the premier aggro decks in the Pioneer format in Mono White Humans.
All right, 3rd lane drop for Folks. Going to lead off here with another Dauntless Bodyguard. That's going to pair him and keep the Thalia alive. And then we're going to have the perfect curve. Here's Thalia's Lieutenant. We're going to buff the squad and we're going to jam on in. This might be a little too much for the Azorius deck to handle because it doesn't feel like they're very good at playing defense.
Yeah, definitely not a great deck at playing defense, and this was an excellent turn 3 from Folks. Even has that Mutavault back for next turn, though it does look like he's out of cards in hand. I think we started with a couple mulligans on Folks' side.
Yeah.
Looks like a mulligan to 5.
All right, here comes Chapter 2. Michiko's Reign is the same as Chapter 1, so Skrell going to be a 5/5 again. Here's a Hingegate pathway on white. We'll see what Parker wants to deploy here. Taps 2. I believe that's a Kimba. I haven't seen the new art for it yet. But it might be an Oswald Findlebender. We'll ask the spotter and get confirmation on that. That is Kimba. Conjuring. 2 mana 2/2. When Kimba Conjuring or another cat enters the battlefield under your control, attach up to 1 target equipment you control to that creature. And then for equipped creature to get +1/+1, and then for 5 mana, you get to create a 2/2 white cat creature. So if you have a hammer in play on turn 1, you can play Kimba on turn 2, and it immediately attaches to it. So that's like a pretty solid start for these decks. But if the game goes a little bit longer, you draw a hammer later, you can make a cat and then attach the hammer to that. So cool stuff. These new cards are very interesting, especially with hammer.
Okay, but not a lot of defense back here for Parker. That Kimba can trade for one of the Dauntless Bodyguards. And with the Hopeful Initiate pumping the Lieutenant and then the Mutavault coming in, this is going to be the 3/10. So enough for Parker to survive if there's an all-out attack.
Ooh, what if we have... So there is 2 mana available for Parker. I think there's a chance that we have an Iganjo here, since we have these legendary creatures, and Iganjo would be a way to remove a creature for 2 mana through the through the Thalia, but it doesn't look like we have it, so...
It looks like we just blocked a Thalia, which will soak up the same amount of damage, but will not take a 3/2 off the battlefield. Don't think that really matters. And then Parker is dead on his following turn regardless. And it's just going to be about whether he can punch through on this last turn.
That's pretty difficult to do, but, I mean, we are playing a hammer deck, so we could. Should go to Chapter 3 on the Michigos. It's going to transform into the backside, and that's going to be a very large creature. But, again, we are getting swarmed here by White Weenie. This is what the White Weenie deck does.
Yeah, and that Skrell cannot block, so that is only an aggressive creature. That looks like another Kemba, and then just a pass. Yeah, looks like Parker didn't have enough to punch through here.
Impressive stuff, though, man. This White Weenie deck mulligan to 5 this game and was able to just curve out perfectly and just really put it to Parker.
Yeah, 1 drop into Thalia, into Mutavault, 1 drop plus Lieutenant. An ideal first 3 turns for this Mono White Humans deck. So even though there's a mulligan to 5, when you have a start that is that aggressive against a deck that is not used to playing defense,
right?
That's going to be really powerful.
All right, well, we're going to be taking a look at these players' sideboards in just a moment. But do want to shout out our sponsors for the weekend while we do that. G Fuel Energy Formula, keeping the player base energized. Thank you so much for sponsoring the Apex Gaming Invitational this weekend. We had a great event yesterday, won by the Golgari Yawgmoth deck in the hands of Jesse Liu, our new champion. Hopefully going to be seeing him around a lot more. You're going to hear that name a bunch because he's a great player. Also, shout out to Ultimate Guard for all the swag they helped us give away yesterday to not just the top 8 participants, but to other people in the tournament. And then last but not least, thanks to Wings, etc. Wings, etc. We were there last night having a blast, huh, Ross?
Yeah.
Big old group, like 10 or 12 people.
Wings.
Dude, we got to hang out with the Glizzy gang last night. That was fun. They brought me a hot dog costume today. If one of them gets on camera, I might be inclined to put it on.
Okay, let's take a look at the sideboards. Starting with Nicholas Parker and this innovative Azorius Hammer deck. We see 4 copies of Portable Hole, 1 Glass Casket, that likely a target for Oswald Fiddlebender, 1 Pithing Needle, 3 Spell Pierce, 1 Thalia Heretic Cathar, 2 Metallic Rebuke, 1 Damping Sphere, 1 March of Otherworldly Light, and 1 Gigantha as a companion, which looks awkward in an Azorius deck, but you can cast it off as Springleaf Drum.
I think that is just proof in the pudding or whatever that companions were a mistake. If you can put Gigantha in your blue-white deck easily and it's just like still good, I still think it's good. There's only 2 Springleaf Drums. It's just silly.
I'm inclined to bring in all the removal. 4 Portable Hole, 1 Glass Casket, even the March of Otherworldly Light. Let's get it in the deck.
I was actually surprised. We were talking about this list before we went live, and I was like, ooh, does he have Portable Hole in the main deck? That's so good with, all the artifact synergies. And you're like, nah, they're all in the sideboard. And I was like, oh, he's going to get pummeled by this White Weenie deck.
Yeah. Probably going to cut away from some of the more aggressive elements and slow down a little bit, but adding 6 removal spells will certainly help Parker here.
Yeah.
And then checking out Folks' list. There we go. We've got 2 Containment Priest, 2 Guardian of Faith, 2 Ossification, 3 Portable Hole, 2 Rydane, God of the Worthy, and 4 Wedding Announcement. Once again, I think just bringing in the removal, the Ossifications and Portable Holes, excellent at dealing with, large creatures. Portable Hole can also answer a Colossus Hammer.
That's true. And the Sigardizade early, too, if you can tag it before you get the combo off. So, both players here drawing their opening 7s. We may be underway, but it looks like Folks is going to go ahead and take a mulligan. So, I want to talk about this matchup a little bit. So, as you noted, both players bringing in a lot of removal from the sideboard to be more interactive. That seems fairly commonplace when 2 creature-based decks face off. But I just want to point out that both players are doing completely different things in regards to being aggressive. Franklin Folks with that White Weenie deck is going to go super wide with a bunch of creatures kind of spraying the battlefield with his minions, whereas Nicholas Parker is going to go tall. He's going to make large creatures with Hammer and, Insult Artifact as well as Michiko's Reign of Truth. The going tall is usually pretty bad against spot removal, whereas going wide is pretty bad against sweepers. And it really just shows the dynamic nature of being an aggro deck in this format. You can choose to go tall or you can choose to go wide.
Yeah, so you got to feel like Folks gets the better of it in the sideboard exchange because his removal is going to be more effective than Parker's. That said, with things like Skrell to protect, you can play around that removal to some extent.
All right, looks like both players are happy with their 6, and they're just tanking on what to put back. We're going to have Parker on the play since he lost game number 1.
Looks like an Ornithopter got sent to the bottom for Parker. Probably no drum to use that with.
A classic place for Ornithopter to go, either on the bottom or in the bin.
And this is Hallowed Fountain into Skrell to start out.
Looks like Skrell the Defector Might, honestly, one of the more popular cards out of Phyrexia All Will Be One for Pioneer. We looked at a lot of the results from the Pro Tour, and very few new cards being played. It was mostly just the fast lands, but the standout for me was definitely Skrell. Almost every white deck ended up playing some number of Skrell because it's essentially just a new, slightly weaker Giver of Runes,
Yeah. Well, there's your combo there. We played an Emery on turn 2 and milled a Portable Hole with it. So we're going to have a removal spell lined up for Folks' turn 2 play, and no turn 1 play means not a lot of aggression for Folks here in game 2 after such an explosive start in game 1.
Well, here, no second land for Parker, but with multiple Mox Ambers, able to go Emery and Fiddlebender in the same turn, as well as attack with Skrell. I actually very much dislike the attack with Skrell. I want to protect Oswald Fiddlebender. I want to protect Emery at all costs.
Yeah, Portable Hole doesn't work against Emery, but if there's an Ossification here, you could get very punished.
We got a reader. taking a peek at Oswald Fiddlebender. We'll get that one on the screen for you. I know that it acts... Okay, here we go. So Magical Tinkering. White tap, sack an artifact. Search your library for an artifact card with mana value equal to 1 plus the sacrifice artifact's mana value and put it onto the battlefield. Then shuffle. Activate only as a sorcery. So a really cool card. Allows you to tutor up equipment. You can sack an Ornithopter and go get a hammer. You can sack Portable Hole or other artifacts and go get, something that costs 1 more. Mostly, though, you can sack Mox Amber. I think Mox Amber is just like a great sacrifice target for Oswald.
What do you think about sacking the portable hole here and getting the 1 glass casket and then just having the portable hole for next turn again?
Well, I think that's pretty cool.
Instead, Parker deciding to get aggressive, Fiddlebender and Skrelv coming in.
All right, going back Franklin Folks way. You have to be very happy if you're Parker. None of your creatures got killed. Just no 1-drop, just 2-drop into getting Portable Hold, and now we'll see if Folks can fight back. Looks like we're lining up 2 spells. Here's a Portable Hold from Folks. It's going to see what it's target. It's going to target the Oswald Fiddlebender. And again, this is why we wanted Skrelv to sit back, right? You need to use the ability.
Yeah.
And while White Winnie doesn't usually play a lot of removal spells, this is a post-sideboard game. They're going to be more interactive.
And, Parker not really getting a ton out of those a couple attacks. 4 damage, a couple poison counters that are largely irrelevant. And now doesn't really have much going on with this Emery. Could have potentially sacrificed that Mox Amber for something and then recast the Mox with Emery and generated some value. Instead, just forced to buy Gigantha here, not progress his battlefield at all.
Yeah, the Skrelv does play defense quite well here alongside another creature. You can block the Thalia and then give it, essentially protection from White or whatever.
Skrelv, unfortunately, not working very well on defense. They've worded it very awkwardly. It gives it hexproof and unblockability.
Oh.
By creatures
So it
of
works
that color.
very badly on defense.
Yeah.
Never mind.
They have made Skrelv not a card that works well, at least in combat on defense.
Okay.
Yeah, doesn't let you block.
Well, we have a Skrelv from the other side as well as another one of those 2-drops. It's going to put a counter on there. An attack for 3 with the Thalia Garden of Thraben, and we're back Parker's way. Let's see if he can do something a little better this turn than buying Gigantha.
Yeah, a Gigantha that he's very far away from casting.
Yeah, no red mana available, no green mana available. We just have a passage of the turn back. So decks like Azorius Hammer, decks like Hammer in general, they have a pretty big fail rate in Pioneer because you don't have the consistency that you have in Modern. In Modern you have both Urza Saga and you have Stoneforge Mystic to increase that consistency, but here we're just seeing like a bunch of cards just kind of do nothing together.
Now we've got the Adeline, and this is going to quickly spiral out of control for Nicholas Parker.
All right, Adeline Resplendent Cathar, maybe one of the best 3-drop creatures ever printed. This star 4 Vigilance, has power equal to the number of creatures you control, and you get the immediate effect of getting a 1/1 human whenever you attack. Changes the game. Without this card, I don't think these White Weenie decks would even be remotely competitive. It's so much strength.
Parker taking the damage. I would have liked to see the Emery jump in front of that token at the very least.
Yeah, the 1/2, can block the 1/1, so maybe just a misstep there from Parker, but maybe the lights are getting to him, All right, we found Kimba, but we also have a hammer, so we can make a big creature this turn.
That hammer costing 2 because of the opposing Thalia.
Mm-hmm. And now we have a 12/12.
Okay, but do we have enough time? Because the Skrelv can force it through if Folks only has white blockers.
Well, we have a blue blocker with the Emery. So we can technically chump block.
Yeah.
Oh, you're talking about the other side. They both have Skrelv. I'm so sorry. You're right. I was thinking of how does Folks kill this turn, and it's not with Skrelv. Okay, tapping 3. This looks like Skyclave Apparition. That's going to come down. We're choosing to eat the hammer over the Kimba because the Skrelv cannot give it protection. Hammer's gone. And now we're going to attack on in with most of our knuckleheads. We're going to give a counter first. I play so much Pioneer, and I cannot for the life of me remember the name of the 2-drop that puts a counter on something.
Luminarch Aspirant.
Luminarch Aspirant, man. I don't know why. It's brain dead this morning. All right, so all the knuckleheads are coming except for Skrelv. That's going to be used to protect.
This Adeline is going to be 7 power once the token enters. So this is an attack for 14.
It's pretty good. And then we're going to preemptively give Skrelv, I guess, probably protection from white. And then the Emery has to chump block. But maybe we give Pro Blue and force a block with either the Skrelv or... No, that seems bad.
It just depends which one folks wants to force the chump block with.
Yeah. All right, and then we're going to chump block the Thali as well. We're going to take 4.
Drop Parker to 5, and now I'm not sure what he can draw to get out of this.
Yeah, this is just a bad spot. I think that one of the kryptonites of this Azorius Hammer deck is going to be these aggro decks, and White Winnie's consistency and power just outclassing the Hammer deck. So
yeah,
we have multiple backup matches. But...
Yeah. Looking at the metagame today, there is a good amount of humans. A deck that performed quite poorly last week at the Pro Tour, but players today is thinking, you know what, I still trust in Thalia's Lieutenant and Mutavault.